Quiz. What do you know about effective communication by Peter Gerlach, member of the NSRC Expert Council? This is the lesson 2.7. No, 2 of 7. Learn how to communicate effectively. 2.1. From the website Break the Cycle. Okay? Skipping the first paragraph. All adults and kids depend on their ability to think and communicate effectively to fill their personal and social needs. I'm sorry. From observing over 1,000 typical adults and couples since 1979, I found that typical people are ineffective communicators. They don't know why and what's possible. 2 topic results that are few people are motivated to learn how to optimize their communication skills and outcomes. That means that typical kids grow up assuming that living with the results of ineffective thinking and communication is normal. They don't realize their potential. This quiz is one of the series of Lesson 2 articles describing effective thinking, communicating, and problem solving. The series outlines 7 learnable communication skills that are essential for building high nurturing relationships and resolving personal and social conflicts effectively. Learn something about yourself in this one question anonymous poll. This YouTube clip reviews key questions of this quiz. Use this quiz to assess what you need to learn about communication basics. It comes from over 40 years of study and teaching effective communication skills to hundreds of adults and kids. Options. Expect to learn something valuable from this quiz. Print the quiz and take at least 30 minutes of undistracted time to write your answers here and on another piece of paper. Or try and answer each question out loud as you go. Try doing so with another interested person. Answer each question before following in it. Put your cursor over words and red letters to read a clarification. Consider journaling about your thoughts and feelings as you answer these questions. They are just as instructive as your answers. Use your reaction to this quiz as incentive to study at least lesson 1 and 2 of this self-improvement website. Before taking the quiz, rate yourself from 1. I know nothing about communication to 10. I could teach a colleague a course on it. My communication effectiveness with important adults and kids is recently and in calm times and blank in typical conflicts. Imagine that this quiz is a part of a test. You and your mate would each have to pass to qualify for a marriage or childhood conception license. Imagine what might happen to the relationship counseling industry and divorce rate if this was required. Recall underlining links will take you to a new window. Usually the answer you seek is at the top of the page. Suggestion: read the answer and close the window rather than reading the whole new page, focusing on this quiz. Communication basis quiz. 1. What is communication? 2. What are the 5 needs and adults and kids try to fill by communicating, and which one is always present? 3. What are my opinions if my current communication needs don't match my communication partner's needs? 4. What are the 2 outcomes that determine whether all people involved feel their communication is effective? 5. What is required for someone to communicate effectively? 6. What does childhood nurturing have to do with communication effectiveness? 7. A. How can I tell if my true self is in charge of my thinking and communicating at any time? And B. What do I do if he or she isn't? 8. What are the 3 channels all adults and kids use to send and receive their communication messages? What happens when the receiver messages on these channels don't match? 9. What are the 5 messages we all automatically decode from each and other in any communication exchange, and which of these always determines our communication effectiveness? 10. What are the 2 most important factors that determine communication effectiveness in any situation? 11. What is impossible for 2 people in a relationship to not communicate? 12. A. What are at least 10 common communication blocks? And B. What can I do about each of them? 13. A. What are the 16 possible outcomes of any communication exchange? And B. Which which is the only one that allows both partners to feel successful. This concept is critical if you want to become fluent in identifying how often you communicate effectively in key situations and over time. 14a. What are the 7 related skills any adult can learn to improve their communication outcomes? And b. How do the skills relate to each other? If you can't describe each skill, you are probably not using it. 15a. What are the 4 common awareness zones in each communication partner? And b. Which combination of them is required for effective communication outcomes? 16a. What are at least 15 of the 45 everyday concepts I can learn to help me to assess and improve my communication successes? Examples: flooding, double messages, defocusing, interrupting, assuming, mind reading, intellectualizing, and generalizing list separately. B. Of these 15, which are the ones that are the most important for you and why? 17a. What is the Bill of Personal Rights? And b. Well, how can I thoughtfully evolving my own bill significantly improve my effectiveness at asserting and problem solving? 18a. How can I identify fuzzy thinking? And b. What can I do to reduce it in important relationships and situations? 19. How do my partners and my partner's emotion levels affect our ability to hear each other clearly? 20a. What's the vital difference between listening and hearing? And b. How does listening well affect my physical health? 21. What's the most effective choice I have with a communication partner who is upset to hear me now? And 22. What are the keys to giving an effective feedback and praise to other people? 23. Why are effective communications usually harder to achieve at home than elsewhere? 24. What's my gender got to do with how effective my communication is? 25. A. What are the 3 or 4 paths to most interpersonal conflicts? B. Which one should I focus on first and in any situations? And C. Which communication skills do I need to do that? And 26. A. How can I spot internal conflicts? And B. Usually resolve them. 27. A. What are the key to effective win-win problem solving? And B. Which common alternatives do I use regularly? 28. How can I A. Identify my primary needs and B. Assert them effectively with others in a mutually respectful way? 29. What are personal needs that can only be fulfilled by me, so it's useless to ask, expect, or demand that other people to fill them? 30. What's the vital difference between submission, assertion, and aggression, and which of those am I usually most comfortable with? 31. What are the key to asserting my needs with others effectively, including with people I distrust, dislike, resent, and or fear? 32. How can I say no, assert my limits and boundaries without feeling cold, selfish, anxious, apologetic, and or guilty? 33. What are the values? A. What are values conflicts? And B. What's usually the best way to resolve them? 34. A. What are the relationship triangles? And B. How can I avoid and resolve them effectively? 35. A. What are the communication sequences and partners? And B. Why should I have to be aware of them with key people in my life? 36. How can I graphically diagram key communication sequences and partners to spot and resolve problems between my false selves or sub-selves, or between me and any partner using the 7 skills? 37. A. How can I express anger constructively to kids and adults? And B. How can I respond effectively to theirs? 38. How can I learn to express hurt, frustration, and anger, confront effectively without undue anxiety, worry, guilt, and or shame? 39. Why do I and others lie at times? And B. If I lie too much, how can I reduce that safely? C. If key others lie to me, can I do anything to reduce that? 40. A. What's the difference between requesting and demanding? And B. How can I tell the difference in communicating with a partner? 41. What are my communication strengths? Pause, breathe, and notice your thoughts, feelings with interest. Now try this again. On a scale from 1, I know nothing about communication, to 10, how could I teach a colleague a course on it? My general communication effectiveness with my mate or another important adult or child recently is blank in calm times and blank in conflict times. Has anything changed? How did you do with this quiz? Can you better appreciate the premise that most adults don't know what they don't know about effective communications? How many of these questions would key family adults answer, older kids? If you all could answer all these questions clearly and spontaneously, what would that mean to your family? Did you learn anything about these questions in your early schooling? Do you think average modern school teach the answers to these questions, and why these thinking and communication basics are vitally important to people, groups, organizations, and societies? Are you modeling effective communication for young people in your life? What if someone had coached you to learn the answers to these questions before you left home? Lesson 2 in this non-profit website offers perspective on and answers to these questions to help you and your family members feel more of your daily needs more often in mutually satisfying ways. Doing this depends on your true self leading your other personalities subselves most of the time. Lesson 1. The unique practical guidebook for lesson 2 is satisfactions. Recap. This 41-item quiz is designed to test your knowledge on effective communication and basic skills. It demonstrates how much average adults don't know about the essential process of communicating with their subselves and other people. The value of effective thinking and communicating is in getting more of your normal and special needs met more often. For example, living with more productive, fulfilling life. Continuing study at free lesson 2, then take the quiz again to enjoy how much you have learned. Pause, breathe, and reflect. Why did you take this quiz? Did you get what you needed? If so, what do you want to do now? If not, what do you need? Who's answering these questions, your true self or someone else? Thank you very much for listening to me. Comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell button. For donations and consultations, hit the button below. And don't forget to share this video on the social media. Okay, bye bye. See you next time.